Well, good evening. This is Dr. Nona James with Abilene Christian University's online course, CONR 725, Beyond Power, the Theory and Practice of Appropriate Decision Making. And I want to welcome all the students into week 4. We just finished week 3, and we're getting ready to go into week 4 this week. And I just wanted to spend some time briefly to go over some of the highlights for this week's coursework, and also just kind of give a quick overview of how we got here and just what we studied the previous 3 weeks. So after this week, just a reminder how quick this course moves on. We only have 3 more modules, and then we will come to a conclusion. I do have to say I really appreciate all of the hard work that everyone has put into their attention to the discussions, the communication with one another. Really appreciate how the communication have been very encouraging to one another. The content of what you've communicated with, and some have been with lots of depth to them. And I also appreciate how you all have been able to be a little bit transparent, probably more so than you would in other circumstances, be it professional, your work, even family or friends. And so I really do appreciate you also doing that. One quick administrative note, speaking of discussions and the content, I want to encourage everyone to be sure and maintain some sense of privacy, confidentiality, when you are communicating with one another. I know that there are some that, be it your jobs that you're in, the nature of the work you do, as well as perhaps even personal stories or experiences. Those are very precious to those that share them, very sacred. And so I want to honor that, not only them trusting us with those stories, but that we just respect one another in preserving those, and because of the richness and the depth of how those are being presented. So appreciate everyone, and even just those that have shared that in your discussion posts. So just an indicator of just our integrity for one another there, and just wonderful contributions to the discussion board. And then I've had an opportunity, Dr. Shep and I, to read your papers that you have submitted, and the content and the quality of those I've been very impressed with. One thing I notice is you all are wonderful writers, and so it has made it an enjoyable process to go over the papers and really look at the depth of what you are sharing as far as the content versus mechanics. And so just appreciate that quality too. If you have any questions at all when it comes to anything having to, again, do with referencing APA style, don't hesitate to contact us. This week, reminder, you will be using some things that are unique with, that may need some special referencing. We're going to be talking about memes, and I'll go into more of that when I start communicating about week 4. But memes, has to do with images, pictures, cartoons. It can be even sayings, and you probably see a lot of them. I know I do on Facebook and social media. Sometimes you may get a text. Just a reminder that if you will be creating your own, but let's say you communicate a meme or something you want to showcase of an example beyond yours, just a reminder that you do have to cite the person that is the owner of that work. Even if it's an art piece, even if it's a sketch, if a friend sends it, a quote, be sure and just cite them. You can do personal communication and then the year and date. And then again, for specifics on that, look at APA. But it's real important that going into social media and that type medium, that we give fair recognition to the owners of that work. So how did we get here? The last 3 weeks, we have delved into the decision-making process and appropriateness of decision-making. And if you recall, in week 1, we looked at appropriate decision-making and why good leaders make poor choices or fail. And so when we delved into that particular week of coursework, we also explored how to minimize indecision making and what causes that hindrance of that. Also, we looked at some concepts related to emotional recognition, emotional tagging, and how that relates, and just even the history and past experiences, sometimes habits. And then week 2, we moved into the neuroscience of decision making as well as decision theory, and found some interesting ideas that were presented to us and theories related to cognitive bias, the YouTube, and how biases affect our decision making. And all of it culminated around experiences, the emotions, and how they affect our thinking. You also have the opportunity to do an assignment related to negative biases and confirmation biases, and all of what the concepts related to that. There was also Bazerman's work on rational decision making, and he provided even step-by-step processes to how to make proper decision makings that were effective in minimizing errors that can occur and being productive and functional. That was out of his book, Judgment and Managerial Decision Making. And then there was the topic of heuristic. And we looked at 4 concepts that related to learning, discovery, and problem solving. And then week 3, we explored better decision making. So this week, I think it's going to be a week that's not only, it's going to be some work, but it's going to be, I think, things that you are going to really enjoy, because this week we're looking at fairness, ethics, and decision making. And so your readings that you will do for this week, you will be from Bazerman, chapter 8, and the Harvard Business Review, How Unethical Are You? And for Bazerman, he discusses 3 practical ways to ensure you're making fair and ethical decisions. And so you're going to be, when you look and go through his readings out of chapter 8, some of the highlights there will be related to how to collect data to reveal the presence of unconscious bias, how to shape your environment, and broadening your decision making. And then one of your readings also will be Matthew 20, verses 1 through 6, that relates to the parables in the vineyard, the vineyard and the workers. And so I encourage you to be sure and not overlook that. And that's going to be real informative with some of the assignment work you'll be doing. You'll also have Araley's book on chapter 4, and look at that. And then also Webster's Dictionary. Just do the link that you see there that has to do with the topic or the word meme to understand it, because you will be producing your own, developing your own meme for your work. There's also the YouTube by Ari Wallach, where he talks about long-term plans, and he discusses a concept which I thought was quite interesting called long path. And he presents 3 areas related to looking at long-term planning versus short-term planning, and how beneficial long-term planning is even beyond ourselves. It may be futuristic with other generations. So he talks about 3 areas, which is transgenerational thinking, future thinking, and telos thinking. And then he asks the question, what is your long path? And he believes that short term, once we have completed that, it's finished, or it's something that's accomplished. But how much value is that versus when it's long term? And I really liked one of the concepts he talks about, which is transgenerational thinking. And I believe that's even where we are in a society, especially when we're working in the marketplace, be it our churches and leadership and the people that we supervise, manage, the work centers, especially, we're starting to see a lot of generational relations that are there. So that's going to be, I think, some interesting insights there. And so for your discussion, I'm real excited because Your discussion for question 5 has to do with what's called the Harvard Implicit Association Test. And you will be responsible, each one of you, to take the Harvard Implicit Test. This is some studies that have done, the Harvard University has done with researchers, and it has to do with biases. And there's a whole wealth of information that you're going to, when you put on the link, click on the link, you will see regarding this Harvard Implicit Association Test. And the one that I want to make sure that you click on, because there's a whole number of them, and when you finish, you're welcome to take as many others as you want. It's quite informative, and you get to learn about yourself. But the one we will be focusing on is called Young, Old, or Age AIT. And so that's the one I want you to be prepared to take your test for the instrument. And you're going to be using your keypad. It will tell you the instructions. You'll even get an exercise before you start. But if it's like all the others that I have seen and participated in, it's very quick, because you're going to have some visuals, and then you're going to have your back and forward keystrokes that you'll use. And then at the end, you'll get an assessment. And so once you get that assessment, I want you to, as your assignment says, to look at it, give some consideration as to if you think it's on target, or maybe some things that you found out about yourself. But it will give you that summary as to helping you understand, how you took it and what your results are. Once you do that, then you're going to communicate your results with your peers in your discussion group that you've been assigned. And so that basically is what your week question 5 is for the discussion that you'll do. And just enjoy it and be able to ask questions of one another. And I'm looking forward to seeing how that turns out. And I think if I have the opportunity, I'm going to take it too. So we'll all learn together on that. But that is something I have personally participated in, and I've really enjoyed it. And speaking of that, some background, there is a book if you want to find out more about that, and it also complements what we're talking about as far as biases and continuing with Bowerman's cognitive biases. There is a book, it's called Blind Spot. It's by Mazaran Banji and Anthony Greenwald. The book is called Blind Spot, Hidden Biases of Good People. And the researchers, they go into more detail regarding just what the hidden biases affect us. And I'm just going to share this with you. It says hidden small fragments of knowledge collected in the brain that are the results of experiences individuals encounter, are exposed to from their cultural environments. And that's when we're talking in particular implicit bias. But Banji and Greenwald posit that once the experiences are introduced in the mind, individuals become aware of the experiences being mentally filed. However, they have the ability to influence the behavior of others they interface with. And from the research that Banji and Greenwald did, they found that many individuals are unaware how strong the impact of stored biases affects relationships between individuals. This is particularly true when you're dealing with people from all facets of society. And so again, that's Blind Spot, Hidden Biases of Good People. I am just sharing that with you as kind of an addition to your coursework, and I will provide that in an announcement with you and a link that helps you also understand a little bit more about biases. And I'm particularly sharing that because their work, along with others, were a valued part as far as the Harvard Business Review that you will be, being acquainted with this week's assignment. And then your other assignment has to do with developing a meme that you believe will be popular and has the opportunity to spread. And I don't know about you, but I've seen a number of little cartoonic um, icons that come up in text. Some of them even, they have them moving and doing different things. Sometimes, like I said, cartoons. A meme may be just even words with some sense of expression. I know a popular one that has the British emblem, looks like a crest or crown, and then under it says keep calm, keep calm, tomorrow's coming, keep calm, doctor's in the house, just a number of those. But those kind of sayings have become quite popular, and they're called memes. Sometimes they're just, like I said, cartoons. It could be an image. It's something that someone has drawn. It's something, a schematic of some sort. But please look at your assignment instructions for, that would be week for question number 6, and it has all the instructions. And once you finish creating your meme, then you're going to load that up for the assignment for sharing with the class. And if you do go to the module for the question 6, you'll see all the instructions and the steps how to load that up on Canvas. Again, if you have any questions or have any concerns or issues in getting that load up, my first step would be to contact the Canvas Help Desk, and they'll be prepared to help you with that. And then your assignment for assignment 5 for this week is you will use the dual concern model and information from Bazerman in chapter 5 to analyze the parable of the workers in the vineyard from the scripture Matthew 20 verses 1 through 6. And you will be looking to analyze the perspective from the vineyard owner and the workers, and that will be your assignment. I think you're going to really like that, and I really am excited about it because it's integrating, spiritual principles with the leadership principles that we're exploring. And then your very last assignment, very small, is the dialogue. It's dialogue 2 on the cost of social norms, and you'll be writing a brief reflection on the dialogue that's and the guidance that's there. And your background that will help you with that will come from Aralee's book on Power and Love, and that's chapter 4. So I know, and also on that, I know I've had some students from the previous dialogue we did get in touch with me and ask if I wanted a cover page and just what were some of the requisites for developing the paper. Cover page, abstract, how did I want that? For these reflection papers, only the reflection papers, you don't have to use a cover page or an abstract for these. It's a simple reflection with the minimum word count that there, I believe, is 100. But if you would simply just make sure you have your name in the upper left, upper right, I'd like to have it your name, the course number, CONR 725, the word count, and then the date. That will be fine. And because that's such a small input that's there, but everything else goes. If you do cite someone in your writings, be it this one or any of them, your discussions, as always, be sure and give credit to the citation or the proper citation and your reference on there. So that is this week's overview, and I hope you enjoy it. Again, just know that Dr. Shep and I are available for any questions that you have, those in group 1, section 1, W1. I'm in section 2, and then just in general, you're welcome to contact me any additional concerns or issues you have. As if you have any emergencies or issues that come up that are beyond your control, that may, in the case of emergency illnesses, losses in the family, crises, catastrophic issues, please get in touch with me as soon as possible so I can be aware of it and we can work to ensure you don't get behind in the course or what the next course of action would be for that. I think that's it. I just hope that everyone has a good week. And again, if you have any questions, put those, send an email or put those in the question queue, and I will be sure and respond to those in a timely manner. Have a good week.